Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drone News Now and welcome to Drone U HQ. My name is Paul. What a week it has been. As the FAA finally announced and released their new Part 108 rules, which allows 60 days for you to comment on and influence, which is very important because now with this new rule, beyond visual line of sight flights are now going to be legal, and believe it or not, without a Part 107 certificate. In fact, it will just require a permit from the FAA to be able to do beyond visual line of sight flights for things like drone mapping, drone delivery, agricultural operations, and even mom and pop shops to be able to deliver a Coke down the street. Think the 7-Elevens even and what they'll be able to do. Under this new category, we're gonna have a permitted operations, which if you look up land scan by the federal government, you can actually see population density. They're going to allow certain drones based off of weight fly in certain population density centers. So the permitted operations, which I believe would be operations below 55 pounds, would allow you to fly in up to Section 3 areas, very rural areas and some suburban areas. Sections 4 and 5 are going to be more city areas and maybe even some suburban areas, which means if you want to fly those more advanced operations or fly drones up to 1,320 pounds, you can do it, but it's going to be with a direct certification from the FAA on a case-by-case basis. That means, well, those huge deliveries that will be taking place are going to require direct oversight from the FAA. Now, this Part 108 actually has a whole lot of information that is really surprising to a lot of people, pilots like myself. Even think about this. Earlier this year in the news show, what did we talk a lot about? The California wildfires and how an old boomer decided to fly his Mini 4 Pro miles away only to do what? Fly beyond visual line of sight, number one, but then actually hit a firefighting airplane. So while many of us are excited that the FAA is kind of getting less conservative and realizing that drone pilots are the safest cohort of drone pilots to have ever existed, they're also now saying, well, you don't need a Part 107 to fly beyond visual line of sight. Definitely is a head scratcher for sure. What's also very interesting is for the longest period of time, drone pilots have always ultimately been responsible for their operations. So the pilot's always responsible. Now with Part 108, the corporation or the company is now liable. This means that while companies will be self-certifying their pilots, these operations are going to have a lot more scrutiny and a lot more liability for commercial entities, which is why that third-party training and validation is going to be so critical and important. But the thing is now for large-scale drone mapping operations, beyond visual line of sight will make you able to fly larger areas, and the whole idea of flying over people, well, as long as it's not over a parade or a crowd, you'll be just fine. That's because the new BVLOS operations allow people to fly over people, just not over crowds or parades or large gatherings of people, which I think is actually a step in the right direction. Although the whole idea of using land scan instead of sparsely populated areas definitely provides an opportunity for you to comment to say, hey, if we're going to fly beyond visual line of sight operations and these drones are small, like less than 55 pounds, why can't we go to Section 4 or Section 5, where most of the commercial opportunity for drone delivery and these large-scale operations will be? Now, a lot of people have been waiting for Part 108 for a long time, but this definitely takes more away from the hobbyists than it did before. In fact, one of my friends, or Ohana in this industry for a very long time, always joked around and said the FAA just took away the hobby abilities and then commoditized them and sold them back to us. Well, John, once again, you prove right. That being said, you've got to comment on this NPRM because it is a proposed regulation, and the ability for drone pilots or DSPs to do BVLOS flights is great, but now there's going to be a new type of drone company called the ADSP, or the Essentially, they're going to be the people that are aggregating all the data and helping deconfliction where it matters. So drone operations are essentially going to have this mass database of which operations are going on, so that way they don't run into each other. Now, the FAA has provided ways that you don't have to pay exuberant amounts of money to have this service and self-certify as well. Now, I could be wrong on some of these things. I've been reading this document for a week. It's why I didn't do a news show last week. Everyone used ChatGPT to just summarize the document and have missed some really critical points. Like the fact that now drone operations are either Part 107, needing pilot's license, Part 108, permit, no license, or Part 108, advanced, which means you are essentially going to be a case-by-case, almost waiver basis, or Section 48, which is the recreational flights. So now we have just taken what used to be hobbyist, recreational, and commercial, and now we have 3 sections of commercial. But we're not following the same systems of pilot certification that exist in manned aviation today. And now drone operations can be much larger, up to 1,320 pounds. While many people say that this advances the industry wholeheartedly, I'm personally kind of bummed because once again, the FAA proved that they have no experience flying drones. Where are the performance-based systems for mitigating crashes in air? Things like, I don't know, the battery test, like what we teach in our operations class and have taught for 10 years. I invited the FAA to numerous NTSB trainings for free and said I wouldn't talk about it just because I wanted to see more FAA officials actually have experience in the thing that they're regulating, because more and more of it would make sense. We're still not there yet. Who knows? Maybe at some point I can take a large cohort of FAA officials and do a training with them, because boy, would it be fun to see the look on their faces that most problems can be avoided with the right information. Hey, Kevin, maybe you can make that happen. Let's move on to our next piece of news. While DJI dropped the 360 camera, Insta360 dropped the Flying 360 camera. That's right, the anti-gravity or gravity-defying drones seem to be a little bit more than just a gimmick and actually a drone game changer. While the new drone from Anti-Gravity looks like a Mini 5 Pro, it has 2 distinct 360 cameras on it. And these 360 cameras, or the frame or view from the cameras, actually comes from the goggles provided by Insta360's Anti-Gravity. As you move the goggles, so does the frame of the camera. Now, I'm really interested in flying this drone. We signed up for a pre-production unit. Hopefully we'll get one soon. I know that there are some out there already, but I'd argue most of them are not very good pilots. In fact, you can see from the footage that they're not very good pilots, because just look how close they get to things. Not very close. My point is this, is that when you look at the fisheye lens and you look at how far away everything looks in that camera, is it going to force pilots to have to fly closer and lower to get the same shots that we're used to? Because I don't know about you, but my clients love that zoomed in parallax effect that we've been getting from the newer drones. Now, that being said, I'm super excited about this drone because now you can capture all angles from one location. Like the Drone Creative did an amazing review showcasing how he's flying around these cars, and you can change these perspectives to get these nice FPV-like shots. While it's awesome that you can get different angles all at once, does that mean that we're gonna have to fly closer to actually get those shots? That's the question, and can only be answered by having hands-on time with the drone, which we're excited to do. Lastly, this drone does not come yet with a manual controller. It actually has a motion-like controller where you control the motion with a joystick. Now, for many career or veteran pilots, that is not exciting, because we've all learned on 2 sticks. Whether you're a thumber or whether you're a pincher, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of these motion controllers have been very gimmicky, and if you've got years of experience on the sticks, it's hard to transpose those into the motion controller. It does allow you to do some cool featured gimmicky stuff, but if you want to get the shots that other people can't, it becomes actually more difficult on the gimmicky sticks. That being said, I'm still really excited for this drone. The whole screen on the goggles is probably one of the coolest things, where your friends can actually see what you're doing, albeit they're gonna have to be standing right here and looking at your feed while you're flying. And for me, that really wouldn't be the most comfortable. So this might actually be the drone of DJI's nightmares, commented by someone in Gizmodo, and I agree. But what's really gonna be the tell is to see how veteran and new pilots are going to take to this drone. it could be something that everyone gets on board with, or it could be something that there's just something off that really stops us from buying into this drone. Now, again, only time will tell, because this is a reveal, not a release on this drone. In fact, we won't see this drone until January 2026, which brings us to our next piece of news. These two pieces of news are kind of intertwined, so we're going to be talking about both of them. It's 131 days until DJI is officially auto-banned, according to the law. That being said, at a recent AUVSI conference, elected officials from the Office of Information and Communications Technology Services stated that they have another methodology of blocking DJI altogether, by blocking the transactions related to them, effectively cutting off business without any need for a formal ban. I think this proves the point that I have reluctantly been trying to say for a year now, that you got to understand, once DJI has been put on the national security list, or the eyes and targets of our government, it's almost impossible for that target to come off of someone's back. So that being said, while many of your DJI drones will be grandfathered in, this means that DJI's last drone that you're going to be able to get your hands on might be coming just in time. That's right. Today, also the DJI Mini 5 Pro was leaked again. Now, this actually goes to prove that I think DJI is in charge of the leaks. Why? Because even though Jasper, great find, by the way, it was actually found by drone hacks on a public Discord from a DJI leak group. So pretty sure that this DJI leak came from DJI into the Discord group, found by drone hacks, formerly owned by the Slack OGs, that then was found by Jasper Ellens and posted to the Drone XL website. Jasper, good find regardless. That being said, it's interesting though that it came out today when anti-gravity was released. Do you see my point? I think that was on purpose. Long story short, I am excited for the Mini 5 Pro. Why? It looks like the drone is going to be sub 250 grams with prop guards and a 1-inch sensor. What does that mean? Imagine a flying Osmo Pocket 3 with wings that you can fly over people. Now, if that drone comes in under $1,000, the Phantom will officially be back. No, seriously. The Phantom 4 Pro was a 1-inch CMOS sensor that was able to capture great photos, great videos, and do drone mapping. It was the last drone to be able to do creative and technical work all in one. Since then, DJI has bifurcated their offerings from enterprise and consumer. Even the Matrice 4 Enterprise was supposed to be a Mavic 4 Pro, as officially leaked and found online. Long story short is that bifurcating the products is now costing DJI, because you've got new competitors that are also Chinese, like the Insta360. The difference? Insta360 doesn't have a massive target on their back. All that to be said, with these prop guards, compact, powerful, and flying under Category 1 operations, according to the FAA, the Mini 5 Pro could be the powerhouse that many drone service providers will need and rely on to actually survive the transitionary period of the DJI ban. Now, while that's said, it's going to be interesting to see what other American drones come to the market between now and 131 days from now. That's going to do it for today's drone news. Thanks again for joining me. As always, if you want superior drone training and you don't want it from people who just do great jobs at marketing, but actually fly for a living, then check out thedroneu.com. We've actually launched new mapping courses, new construction courses, new creative courses, and everything that you're going to need to be successful in the field. Let's be honest, as a drone pilot, to be successful in today's environment, you gotta be able to fly Cinewhoops, you gotta be able to take super pretty pictures, think stacked images in Lightroom, and you gotta be able to shoot very smooth and professional zoom-based video to get that parallax effect and capture the shots that other people can't. That's the formula. Do you have it? If you don't, it's time to go to thedroneu.com.